Hello guys, there are 30 things that we use today that we used differently or were used differently when they were invented. They'll surprise you. Most of them, I know you've not heard about most of these 30. You ready? Let's go. 1. Coca-Cola. We know Coca-Cola as that nice soft drink, but did you know that it was first used as medicine? Yes, medicine. And what was it supposed to treat? Headache. So whenever people felt headache, they would say, go for a bottle of Coca-Cola, and you go get a Coke, and you're fine. But later on, it became a soft drink, and people take it whether you have headache or not. In fact, most of the people take it when they do not have headache or headache symptoms. Medicine. Did you know that? Number 2, Viagra. You know Viagra as that, should I say, medicine that is used maybe for treating erectile dysfunction. When it was invented, Viagra was actually medicine. It was used as medicine for people with heart problem. So I don't know, but I think maybe if your heart is slowing down, you could use Viagra to improve circulation of blood. But later on, you know what happened, and that is Viagra for you. So it was medicine, not what it is used for today. Next, number 3, tea bag. You go to the shop, and instead of that sachet of or packet of tea leaves, you get the tea bags. You come, put it in your cup with that thread hanging outside, leave it or stir it, and then you take it. But what were tea bags used then when they were invented? Actually, they were packaged like that. So tea leaves were actually sent or delivered by merchants in those tea bags. When they reached their destination, some guys just decided that there's no need of opening this thing up. Just you put this in your sufuria right away or into hot water, and you take it. And that way you do not need a sieve. And then, oh, that's a good idea. Let's adopt it. And nowadays you have tea bags done like that. But back then it was packaging, that was not the purpose actually. Those 3, did you know any of them? Let's continue. Number 4, treadmills. Treadmill is this, yeah? You go to the gym, you pay, and then you climb that table like board, set the speedometer there, and then you start. When it was invented, treadmills were actually used in prisons. And what were they used in prisons for? It was punishment for prisoners. You're indisciplined, panda treadmill, unachoka, you get really tired working out. Yeah, but later on it became fashion, actually some form of exercise that people love doing. So it is fitness, not punishment. Number 5, the camera on your smartphone. the camera on your smartphone. Where is mine? Now, the camera on your smartphone was actually not meant for taking photos. No. The purpose of that camera is for you to take video calls, especially the selfie. It was meant for video calls, so that I'm communicating to you, you can see me, I can see you. But then later on, people adopted it into use for photography and social media and scanning of documents. Then they made the rear camera so that you continue taking more photos without having to turn your phone the other way. So smartphone cameras were not meant for photography, they were meant for video calls. But then people started using them for scanning of documents and for photography. Nowadays they are used more for photography than even video calls. Next, and this will surprise you, number 6, chainsaw, or what some people call the power saw, for cutting trees. Yeah, when they were made, number 1, they were much smaller than what you see, very small, and they were used by doctors. Yes, not those guys in the forest. No, they were used by surgeons in the theater. So they were small power saws that could be used for stuff like cesarean section or cutting of flesh fast, rather than tearing using a scalpel. They saw that as slow and painful, but the power saw was a little bit fast, the chainsaw. So the power saw was actually a hospital equipment. But then what happened? Nowadays it is, you find it in the forest, lumbering. Okay, that surprised me too. I don't know about you. Number 7, this you might have heard, high heels. High heels were actually first used by soldiers. Yes, soldiers, male soldiers, riding off the horses in war or battlefields. So they would use them, you see. And when you look at actually horse riders, you'll see the kind of boots they have are usually high heelish. Yes, so they were used by those soldiers. Then later on, royal families or the noble men adopted it and started using them. So you'd find kings or the cabinet wearing high heels. So when they pass by, you're like, that's Signor, that's the prince, that's only the wealthy ones who could afford high heels. And then later on, they grew out of fashion for men, and ladies took it over. And what a man can do, a woman can do better. The rest is history, as they say. Now, next, trampoline. Trampoline is this net-like structure, usually circular, raised table-like. You jump on it. Here, you know it. Trampoline. Kids love it a lot. Adults too use trampolines. You see reels on Facebook everywhere, men jumping and stuff like that. When they were invented, they were not for recreation. No. They were actually designed for gymnastics. training, especially for somersault training. So if you wanted to learn somersault, a gymnast would take you to a trampoline and then they teach you. You see, it's easier to bounce back and forth. So trampolines were used by gymnasts to train somersault. Then once you're an expert, you can now do it on the ground because you cannot get injured. But if you train on hard surface, you know what happens. Well, that takes us to number 9. And number 9 is tampons. Now, tampons is what ladies used if they don't want to use sanitary pads. Tampons are this kind designed to be inserted during those menstrual periods. But what were they used for or invented for? It was not MP at all. Menses? No. What were they for? They were actually used also in the field of medicine, but mostly in the military. When you have been shot, you have, say, a bullet wound, so a tampon, they would put maybe spirit or methylated spirit or something, some solution, and then it is inserted in that wound after maybe the bullet shrapnels and stuff have been removed, and then it heals. So that was the purpose. Or they were also used for those people who nosebleed. Nowadays, when you nosebleed, you are laid back and yeah, you know what happens. But they would use tampons. Yeah. But then later on, like I said, what a man can do, a woman can do better. Number 10. Now, this also surprised me, and it will surprise you. I don't think you know this. Vaseline. What was Vaseline used for when it was invented? Vaseline was actually made as a lubricant for machines. So, if say you have a bicycle, instead of adding that oil as a lubricant, you would take Vaseline and then, but then it was not popular. So the person who came up with the idea of Vaseline had to convince them that it was actually safe and it could not damage their machines. So what did he do? To just show them that Vaseline was okay and safe, he smeared it in his body and then took it and ate some of it. And they were still not satisfied. So he started smearing it every day and eating a spoonful of Vaseline every day. Then they observed for, say, a week or so, and they saw he was not getting sick, he was not dying. Oh, okay, so it's nice. So we can now start using it. So they started using it in their machines. But in the process of this guy convincing them by smearing it on his body, they noticed that he was kind of, wow, that's nice. I think I'd want that. I'd want that. So some people also started smearing it on their bodies. And then it became more popular, smearing on the body than applying it on machines. And then large-scale production of Vaseline for skincare began. Something that was meant for machines ended up on this machine. That's how Vaseline, it has had quite a journey. But before, later on also, in the medical world, they also adopted it and used it to heal cuts and burns. Yes, so when you go to hospital, sometimes they can tell you to apply ointment, or they can actually tell you to apply Vaseline as a way to cure the cut or burn. It is safe for that. It has been a journey for Vaseline. Did you know that it was used as a lubricant for machines? I don't think you knew that. Number 11. Pillows. Now, pillows were actually used as pillows, yes, but they were not that soft. Pillows were actually, back then, in the ancient Mesopotamia. If you remember Mesopotamia in agriculture, they were actually made of stone. Yes, you heard me right. Stone, jiwe. So you could put a stone and then put your head on it. It's terrible, man. Who does that? So why would they use a stone? Now, back then, they considered, because they didn't have beds as we know them, so they were lying on the ground. But then ants were a nuisance. So what did they want to do? They wanted something that ants could not climb, because they considered the head as the most important part of the human body. So they wanted it protected from the ants. So they came up with the stone idea. A smooth stone. Ants try climbing it, and it's like slippery. They keep on falling, and you rest your head on it the whole night, and your head is protected from the ants. Let them bite everywhere, let them do anything they want, but let your head be protected by that stone. Then from there, the Chinese learned from them and made their pillows made of porcelain. These ones that you use for kitchenware, like dishes, plates. Yes, so they were now more royal or expensive and kind of stuff. But then as time went by, and the bed was invented, a softer pillows also got invented, and they replaced the stones with something soft like the one you have in your bedroom. Can you imagine how those guys suffered? A stone the whole life. Life cannot be harder than that. Next, number 12, lipstick. Now, you know lipstick as that, yes. Now, what were they using back then? Back then, they were crushing bugs. Yes, bugs, like bed bugs. You crush them, and then that blood or stuff, you apply. you apply it on your lips, and this could only be done by those who had status, because so the poor guys would get the bugs, take them to the richer fellows who would, and then wow, that is the daughter of the queen, the princess. Then also they were also used for rituals. So you would also maybe go find maybe a witch doctor or a medicine man applying them on them. So witch doctors, medicine men, herbalists, and the royal family or the noble class would apply them on their lips. And remember, it's the bags. Oh my goodness, who does that? But then as time went by, it was now changed to whatever now you have, and it's expensive, and it's colors and colors. Yes, so ladies, can you apply some bags now so that okay, let's move on to radiators or radiators. In vehicles, when you look at the front part, you'll see that grill-like structure which allows air to come in. Now, radiators are normally used to cool engines because engines get hot. So as cool air, as the vehicle is moving, cool air gets in, cools the engine. Back then, radiators were not used in vehicles because back then there were no vehicles actually. Vehicles is a 1920s, 1930s there. Before that, radiators were used in churches. You see, in Europe and the northern hemisphere, it's cold. Some places snow and stuff like that. So they had radiators in churches to keep the place warm. So they were meant to, it's like the fireplaces. So radiators were used to warm churches. And then later on, people started using radiators in their homes to warm their homes. And then finally, when vehicles were made and engines were getting hot, we needed to cool them, and radiators were introduced not to heat or to warm, but to cool. So that's the story about radiators. Next, number 14, pogo sticks. Pogo is this single stick with some two handles. You will see normally it has like two levels. So this stick, there is that and there is that. This is for your legs and this is for your hands. So you'll find people, and I think trained people, not any other person, jumping with it. It springs kind of. So if you don't know how pogo works, just go to Google or YouTube, type POGO, and you'll see a pogo stick. So you use it to hoop. It's used for entertainment or fun actually, or in competitions, making tricks and those juggles. But what were they used for when they were invented? Pogos were invented in Burma, somewhere in the Southeast Asia. Now, what were they used for? You see, those places get floods. They are rather flat lands. It gets muddy and stuff like that. So you keep on rolling your stuff, wearing gumboots. So some people decided that instead of doing that, let us come up with a pogo stick. So when you walk around and you get some pool of muddy patch, you use a pogo. And then you get to the dry surface and you walk away. So pogos were used to travel through muddy terrain, not for entertainment or competition or those reels on Facebook that you see. Okay, now let's come from those radiators, pogos that are not very common, to something as common as chewing gum. Number 15, we are halfway now. Now, chewing gum that we so much love was actually medicine back then, and it was not sugary. It was something rather flat. It was just Okay, when you chew that gum, after 5 minutes, whatever you are now chewing, that was the chewing gum back then. So what was it for? It was meant for exercising your jaws. It was meant for maybe cleaning the teeth. Sometimes some fluid was also applied onto it that is medicinal. So as you chew, the medicine gets into your jaw, and if you have those teeth problem or mouth problems, you get healed as in the process of chewing them. But then later on, sugar was added. You see, man is so creative, and then it shifted from being medicinal to being a children's thing or fun. Yeah, what it is used for today. In fact, nowadays it has even gone a step further into those cigarette kind of chewing gums, where you chew and you get nicotine and stuff like that related to it. Oh yeah. Now next, nails, nail polish. Ladies, are you there? Number 16 is for you. Now, when it was first invented, nail polish was just like today, though not really like today, because today nearly everybody uses it. But those days, those ladies who were applying the bags, as a lipstick, could afford to apply nail polish. And what was nail polish made of? It was made of egg white. Yeah, you break an egg and then you take the egg white. That is what you apply. Or you take a beeswax and you apply it as your nail polish to signify class or rank. But nowadays, that was back in China, and then it spread around the world as a beauty product where with a variety and coloring and all sorts of things. Nowadays, it's high tech. Number 17, Crocs. I don't have Crocs here, but Crocs is a popular stuff nowadays. I see some with the bubbles and stuff like that, and chains on them. Crocs. Now, Crocs, during their invention, Crocs were actually used by those people, sailors or people in boats and ships. Those are the people that used them for two reasons. One, they are water resistant, so you would put them, walk in water, and you get in out of water, and unlike maybe shoes or these fluffy kind of shoes absorb water and stuff like that. Number two, because they don't slip, they are non-slip. So whether you are in water or out of water, they don't, you cannot fall or slide and hit yourself on the ground. So that was the reason. But then later on, it came from the coast to the mainland, and nowadays everywhere it is used, and it is also used as fashion item, and even used almost everywhere, even in hospitals these days. So Crocs were not used anywhere else but in water, especially by those beach boys, etc. I don't know whether that's why they are called Tanga, because Tanga, Tanganyika, those areas, Zanzibar. Next, jeans. I don't have jeans, I don't like jeans, but I know many of you like jeans. Jean wear is something very common, very popular. Now, jeans were actually made for miners. When I say miner, I mean those digging out minerals, not young ones. So in the mine fields, they would use them to get into those mining quarries and so on and so forth, dig, do that. Why? Because they are durable. They are durable, and the kind of work in mining is rather tough. So they are tough for that kind of a job, unlike this other kind of clothing that would otherwise get torn very easily. So they were for miners. But nowadays it is a fashion staple, actually. You look at somebody like Mark Zuckerberg, and he has jeans and t-shirt, and that is fashion, and he's not a miner. Next, Bluetooth. Bluetooth is common in headphones or earpods or Bluetooth speakers, Bluetooth electronics. It's Bluetooth everywhere. Share items on Bluetooth, you do this and that. But what was it back then? Back then it was a military preserve. So you would only find it in the military. And what was it used for? Wireless communication. So they could send each other information using via Bluetooth. It was secure. And because it was not known by the outside world, so only the military, you see, military like privacy and stuff like that, coded language, so they used Bluetooth. But then later on, it spread into the rest of the world. Nowadays it is everywhere. Even smart fridges use Bluetooth. Number 20, tie or neckties. The ties were first used in Croatia. The military used ties. And what did they use it for? It was just a formal wear for the military. So you would see a tie, and you know that's a soldier. That's a soldier. During the parades, you see how they do that? They have ties. But nowadays, you wear a suit without a tie, it's like you are half naked. Whether you are in the military or not. In fact, those in the military don't wear ties these days because ties can now be used against you. Not in a court of law. Ladies, we are back with you here. Number 21, the wig. Can you just first make a guess what wigs were used for back when they were invented? And wigs have come a long way. Back in the 17th century, up to date. What were they used for? If you have said to cover heads of those suffering from syphilis symptoms, baldness and stuff like that, or cancer, you are right. Back then, syphilis was a big problem. So one of the symptoms of syphilis is loss of hair. So those who could afford, out of that stigma, they wanted to cover it so that they feel they are not alienated. No, I don't want to associate with a guy who has syphilis. So they would buy you a wig and wear them. and you would not know whether they have syphilis or not. Or somebody who is just bald, like those old folk that are getting old and the air seems to be running away, so they would wear the wig to cover that up. But these days, what do? Ladies mostly wear wigs for fashion. It is no longer used for the medical purpose it was actually invented for. And they are expensive, by the way. You know, fashion is expensive. Fashion is class. Number 22. We have about 8 to go. Sunglasses. Sunglasses were not used the way they are used today. You see, nowadays, sunglasses are used for 2 things or 3 things. For maybe UV protection, especially those who use the darks or the goggles. They can also be used for those who have either short-sightedness or long-sightedness. You can use those sunglasses with lenses to help your vision, or you can use them actually for style and fashion. But back then, they were invented in China, and only judges wore sunglasses. Judges. Why did judges wear sunglasses? They wore sunglasses, especially those dark ones, so that you don't see their reaction. You see, a judge should be sober. You are like, you crack jokes and they are not supposed to show. You see, your eyes can reveal some kind of joy or sadness or partiality and so on and so forth. So they would use them. And oh, by the way, you see those guys who are mourning or in funerals wear glasses so that you don't see them when they are maybe teary and so on and so forth. So that is the same way judges use them. So when they put them on, they could actually be smiling, but you might not see them because you don't see that stuff. Yeah, sunglasses covers it. So judges in China, and then it spread across the world for different reasons. Number 23, SMS, short messaging service or text message. It was not meant for what it is right now, that I want to communicate to you, let me type your message. Hi, how are you doing? Or thanks for this and that. Have you received the money I've sent you? Blah, blah, blah. SMS were used by engineers to test mobile networks. So after maybe repairing that phone call or Safaricom working and so on, they would send a text message. And then when the message is delivered into this other device, they are like, the network works, the device is okay. That's what they were used for. Testing mobile networks by engineers. But then the public, most of whom are not engineers and most of whom are not testing networks, took it on and started sending messaging and so on and so forth, or texting too much, buy bundles and spend the whole afternoon texting each other. When you look at the keypad like this, though it is inverted the way you'll see it there, but normally it is QWERTY keypad, QWERT, QWERTY keypad. So when they invented QWERTY keypad or keyboard, Did they have in mind typing? Actually, of course, they are used for typing, but the reason why it is not A, B, C, D in that order, and it is instead Q, W, E, R, T, and so on and so forth, that disorganized arrangement you see on your keyboards, whether it is a smart one like the one in your phone or tablet, or the one in hard stuff like this, it was actually meant to slow typists down. So you see, if it is A, B, C, D, I know A is here, B is here, so easily I would. So what was invented to slow you, because at that particular time you had to train. You're like, where is A? So you look for A. Where is T? Where is W? And so on and so forth. So as you do that, you realize that when you send your message or stuff like that, the network is not jammed. Yes, the network is not jammed. Or when you are typing, because those days you see the typewriter, it had that stuff and it was not very developed. So if it's well arranged and you start doing, it would jam. So it was meant to slow you down. Tap, 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 tap. But of course, people learn very fast and the speed improves. But the purpose was to slow typists down so as to prevent jamming. Number 25. 5 to go. Webcam. Webcam. If you have ever registered for an ID or during elections, IEBC or those electoral bodies, or maybe you go for your passport stuff, they might sometimes fix a webcam onto the laptop or the computers that faces you, and then they take a snap or a video or whatever. Was that the original purpose of web cameras? No. In fact, it was actually for something funny. The person who invented webcams invented it to watch a coffee pot. You see, when you are making tea, especially that has milk, you know this problem. You'll watch, and then the moment you do that, that is when all hell breaks loose. So this guy came up with the webcam and fixed it somewhere as a CCTV to keep watch on the tea. So as they were doing their stuff, they knew the tea, or the coffee, and the moment they could go and save the situation. So webcams at Cambridge University was actually meant to monitor coffee pots. But nowadays, what do we use it for? We use it for streaming, surveillance. Of course, that is also surveillance, what it was meant for. But it's something that we don't use it for nowadays. Nowadays, have you ever seen somebody fixing a camera to just watch over a sufuria of boiling githeri? So it's not used for that. Next, number 26. Drone. A drone is that small object that has wings, and it is not a Red Bull, because Red Bull gives you wings. So when you get wings, you do not become a drone. So a drone is that object, like say this Bluetooth speaker with, some propellers or some things like wings that rotate very fast and give it that lift off. and then they can be remote controlled, so you can maybe decide that you want this to go over there, and so on and so forth. They were a military tool, and they are still a military tool used especially for surveillance or for launching small attacks, like maybe shooting or dropping some explosives, or maybe surveillance cameras. But what are they used for today? Drones are used for photography. Those videos that you see around, people singing, dancing, and you see the overhead coverage of them and so on and so forth, covered by drones, or even in churches nowadays. So they are now used for photography. They are used to deliver items. Yeah, some companies are now, online stores are coming up with drones. You buy, say, a hard disk, and they deliver it using a drone. You buy this, if it can be lifted by that drone, it is delivered by that. Yeah. Number 27. Salt. Salt is something so old. What was it used back then? It was used as a currency. Yes, and I think this one you must have learnt in social studies or geography, history and civics, GHC, for those who did that. So it was used as a currency. You would say, I'm giving you this amount of gold in exchange for salt. So it was a currency. And then it was also used as a food preservative. And you must have also learned about fish preservation by salting. But what is it now used for? Basically, it is now used for seasoning. Every other meal you take, you want to put a pinch of salt here and there to give it some taste. So that is salt for you. Okay, helmet comes in at number 28. Wait for the last two. They will amaze you. Now, helmets. Helmets were used by soldiers in battles. Mainly to protect them from the shooting. So if you shoot, it hits the helmet, protects their heads. And I think it is still used to date in the military. But then helmet has now evolved also to be used in sports. So you want to cycle, helmet. Yeah, whether it is a bicycle or it's a motorcycle, helmet. You want to skate, helmet. You want to, so long as it's these recreational activities that involve high speeds, even in safari rally driving, some people do helmets so that in case the vehicle rolls, your head is protected from injury. But that is not what it was meant for when it was invented. Okay, the last two will actually also surprise you. Let me start with this so that I finish with what I consider I saved the best for the last. Number 29, mirrors. Mirror. A mirror that we now use to, in your changing room, when you are applying the lipstick that we talked about, the bags, if you remember, and so on and so forth. Yeah, you use that mirror, or we use it in vehicles these days also. Yeah, so grooming and maybe for viewing of the road safety stuff. But back then, that was not the reason. It was used mainly by magicians, medicine men, or witch doctors. You'd go there and they have a mirror, and they're like, yes, are you talking about this particular lady? Yes, this is the lady you want? Okay. And then the next time you meet the lady and say hi, and the lady is like, ooh, yeah, you are the one I've been looking for, because the medicine man has done it. Or you go to that guy, witch doctor, they're like, this. Is it this one? Yes. He's not going to live to see tomorrow. And then all of a sudden they fall, maybe while crossing a bridge and so on and so forth, or get into some form of accident. So they used the mirrors for that. Magic and divination matters divinity. But these days, grooming and road safety. Okay, last, perfume. Yeah, roll-ons and stuff like that. What do you think perfumes were used for back in the days? Because it is something old. Were they used for what it is used for today? No. It is not meant for luxury or that sweet smell as it is used for today, that after bathing you back then you would use perfume if you have not taken shower. Yeah, if I've not taken shower and I'm going to a meeting or to meet some people, I'm like, ooh, they are going to then you take the perfume and you're like, yeah. So when you go out there, you smell good, but you've not taken shower. So it was to mask the body odor from lack of bathing. That is what perfumes were used for. But nowadays, you bathe first, then you apply it. Back then, when you fail to bathe, that's when you use it. But when you bathe, you're just okay, you can just go. Did you know that? Which one amazed you the most out of this? You can leave your comment in the comment section so that we talk about it. But what I've found actually amazing there is the perfume that caught me off guard. Then sunglasses by the judges, that's quite crazy there. We have which one here? Chainsaw used to in hospitals. Chainsaw, power saw. Treadmills used for punishing prisoners. Viagra used to treat your heart, not to. And lastly, Coca-Cola as headache medicine. And I think if you have headache, try this. Maybe it can still work. I'll try it one day if I have headache. God forbid. Who wants headache? Guys, it's been a pleasure. I'll keep on giving you some amazing, surprising stories like this.